Hey everybody, Medium Brandon Ross, and it's time to talk about that astrology hat that I tend to put on from time to time, especially when I'm talking about world events and even current ones as well. Pluto is a planet, and by the way, I don't really care about what those astronomers talk about. Take your pencil packs and go home. Am I right or am I right? Us astrologers are always going to call it a planet, no matter what. Reason being is because it is ruled by Scorpio. It also rules empowerment, rebirth, rejuvenation, regeneration, and all sorts of things of rees. It allows you to get up off the mat and say, I ain't dead yet. It also gives you an opportunity to look at things differently and what you want to focus your energy on. Now, it'd be really simple to say, hey, this is how it's going to affect each sign. It's really kind of easy to talk about rising, but even in the rising, let's say you're an Aquarius rising, it might be simple and easy to say, oh my gosh, Aquarius is now housing Pluto, therefore it must be in the first house. That's not how the house systems work. So if I say you're Aquarius rising, you might actually have it in your 12th house. So that's why we're going to take a look at this in terms of the 12th house. And for most of us, most regular folks, it's probably going to be in two of the houses during this. Probably, I think 40% of it will be in just one. So pay attention to the houses as to where it's at. You can always pull your chart, take a look at it, book me for a reading, tbrandonross.com. Enjoy the view and the scenery and all the fun stuff that I've got out there as well. Join my email list, see my current events. I have things both online and I'm almost always on tour. And I've always got a class or two up my sleeve. So let's take a look at the house systems when it comes to Pluto. First of all, a couple of things about Pluto is that the transition is about 248 years around the sun. Well, guess what? It takes a long time, and therefore it's going to be anywhere from 19 to 25 years in a particular sign, depending upon the side of the Placidus, which is the size of the house that it is moving through. It's going to stay in, and by the way, I do take notes. It is going to stay in Aquarius now until March 8th, 2043. Boy, do I hope I'm here. I can't wait to see this transition. Even though we did a little bit of a dance here at the beginning of March and then into January, and then, of course, back here again, it stays in for the next over 19 years, close to 19 years. So what does that mean? Well, Pluto is a planet of transformation. It is also about rebellion. It is about making sure that the things that need the empowerment get the empowerment. So if there's an imbalance of power, Pluto loves to kind of equal the score. If not in the short term, definitely in the long term. One of the things that you have to recognize as Pluto acts upon things is that it is a very slow-moving planet. So some of our inner planets are actually going to be acted upon it as it moves through transition. Say, for instance, if you have a planet in Leo right now, it is acting upon it in opposition. These are the things to consult your astrologer with. The reason being is because that might create dynamics for you as well as opportunities that you can surge ahead, because Pluto is really about the empowerment, even if you have to burn it down. So if Pluto, rather not your Pluto, but the Pluto is in transit through your first house, this is going to be your opportunity to really take a look at who you want to be. Who do you want to be when you grow up? Who do you want to be and who do you want to project out there? This gives you an opportunity to see the world as you want to present it. It's also an opportunity for you to do a little bit of soul searching. This is an identity placement, which means you're going to take a look at who you are and what you're about. Now, if it's moving into your second house or in your second house already, this is about looking at your value system. What do you value? Do you value your faith? Do you value your patriotism? Do you value the things that are important to you? And how did you get there? You might be doing some things such as pulling it out and looking at it again a little bit differently to say, does this really work for me? Pay close attention with this placement because other things may affect it, such as, say, where Mars is, like, say, in opposition right now. It's also going to be something that the sun will play havoc with in the future throughout all of the rest of its placement, because our value system will be strained and questioned, and therefore Pluto's doing its job. Now, what about the third house? The third house, of course, is about communication. So you're going to find yourself communicating in a different way, whether it be empowered or whether it is kind of righting wrongs. Pay also attention to how you work with your sibling groups and those that are close to you. This might also be something about high communication on another level or finding it in a different way. You might feel inspired to say writing or taking on new blog posts or maybe a new artistry. That being said, Pluto in the third house is going to be energetic to the change in how we communicate. On a global level, it could mean new technology coming in. Hold your horses, fourth house. Fourth house is always about family, right? Well, Pluto is about the change, is about the rebirth. Maybe this is a recongeal of your family, or maybe this is you finding a new one. Maybe it's resurrecting, maybe it's children coming in, maybe it's something about a reorganization of what you deem as family. You're empowered this way, and it's a great opportunity to heal wounds or to let things go forever. Now, if Pluto is in your fifth house, this is a bolt of lightning that you're looking for. This is something that can really help you along if you're looking to gain creative energy. This is a big deal because your creativity might go through the roof, almost to the point of dissatisfaction. This is a heavy Virgo placement too, by the way, insofar that chances are if you're a Virgo rising, Pluto is going to be moving through that fifth house. And you're going to want to make sure that you just trust the process. Don't overthink it. Don't think to yourself, oh my gosh, this isn't perfect or this is no Van Gogh. That's not the way to look at it. It's about the creative energy that you're bringing to the table. You need a safe output for it, and here it comes. Now, if Pluto is moving through your sixth house, some of you Leo risings I know are out there, this is about taking a look at what you have around you and what you're doing for work and for a living, as well as your health. The reason why this is so kind of specifically non-complacent is that you can't sit back with this position. Leo rising very rarely sit back anyways, but as Pluto moves through your sixth house, you might just clean house. You might say, that's it, I'm done. This isn't going to work for me anymore. But what you're going to come out on the other side is a trustworthy world and an environment. You're going to appreciate what you do. You're going to appreciate how you're going. And oh, by the way, you're going to be appreciated by those around you. Now, with Pluto's moving through the seventh house, this really talks to relationships, doesn't it? Those are relationships that are near and dear to us. But when Pluto shows up, it actually gives you an opportunity to reinvent them. Maybe it's connecting with people in a different way, maybe not necessarily the way you always traditionally looked at them. So maybe that barber might actually be the person giving you advice or helping you out around the house. Maybe that coworker might actually be somebody to date. Pluto in the seventh house of relationships gives you an opportunity to look at people differently. Now, the eighth house comes in like a lion, because the eighth house is its comfortable natal placement. It is a Scorpio house, and that doesn't necessarily mean that Scorpio has anything else to do with this aside from we're really just talking about the planet of Scorpio. But you're going to be renewed and revigorated in all things that are about rebirth, the things that you want to restart. Over the next 20 years, you may find a deeper level of connection intimately. You might also finish all of those tasks that you thought you would just let go. Rejuvenating and revitalizing things is what you're going to be focused in on. Maybe it's just a review and saying, we can do this better and differently. Now, if Pluto's in your ninth house, pack your bags, baby. You're going to get up and go because you got up and went. You're going to be very inspired to just explore, to be curious, to be, out there. It's going to give you an opportunity to explore everything that you've ever believed in, thought of, or read about. It's also going to give you an opportunity to do a deep dive in your faith and your spirituality even. You're going to be able to take a look at, what does this really mean to me? And do I do it because I walk through the motions, or do I actually believe in it? This is a powerful placement, and let me tell you something. If Pluto is moving through your ninth house, get your passport, pack your bags, and tell everybody you'll write. Now, if Pluto is moving into your 10th house, hello, powerhouse. By the way, a lot of Taurus rising connected to this. because this would angle your Pluto into the 10th house. What the opportunity is, and by the way, Taurus into Aries, kind of somewhere in between there, you've got to take a look at who you are in the business world. This is a great time to start a business. It's a great time to be in charge of things. It's also a great time to take risks. Because of this rejuvenation, you're going to be able to revitalize things as you go. This is a powerful placement for you. So even if you think you have a cockamamie idea, you might want to play the long game here and do the thing anyways. It might not make sense at first. It might not have all its legs underneath it. But this placement is going to help you grow all the way through the project. Now, if Pluto's moving into your 11th house, Godspeed. Just kidding. Pluto moving through the natal Aquarian house is actually a super duper powerful thing. You're going to want to be connected in a larger level, but before you go opening up an animal sanctuary, take a deep breath in. Think about what the world means to you in the greater community. Before you get bogged down with over obligation, you want to make sure that what you're doing is purposeful and, of course, sustainable. Because as much as you don't feel like you can't recreate, you also don't want to be in a position where you're overburdened and you don't want to finish, which is the struggle with this position. It can be a little overburdening when you think you have to save the world. Don't save the world. Take care of your neighbor. Now, if Pluto's moving into your 12th house, just shave your head and go to your nearest airport. I'm only kidding. But the airport thing might work. Anyways, Pluto in the 12th house is representative of you doing a deep dive on all things questionable. It could go really, really well, or it could go really, really sideways. But either way, you're willing to give it a try. And moreover, you want to make sure that the success dynamic is about you exploring what you are, where your place is in the universe, and what are the possibilities. You also have the propensity of maybe going a little overboard, and that's the thing that you have to be cautious of if Pluto's in the 12th house. But if you steer it correctly and you really kind of focus it with a plan and not be impetuous, you've got a half a shot at moving Pluto through your 12th house and finding out who you are. And it will lead into that self-identity thing that we talked about at the top of the conversation. All right, guys. That's my Pluto report. And I really hope that you find Pluto's transition right now is transformational. On the global scale, it's clearly having an effect. On a personal level, you want to take a look at it in how it's going to help you. Strategize this. Astrology doesn't really predict anything, but it does give you the weather in which you can be successful. Go back, take a look at your chart, and figure out where Pluto is going to be in your house. Maybe it's going to be there for 7 years, and then 7 years in one house, and then 16 years in the other. It might be the exact opposite. Take a look at it and begin to build a strategy with how you can capture the rejuvenation and the regeneration that Pluto is about to bring to our society as well as to yourself. All right, guys, I'm going to give you a heart tap and remind you to keep going. Be sure to like and subscribe. See all of my lives where I do readings. You can book me one-on-ones at tburnandruss.com, and I can't wait to see you. Keep going.